The Tobruk garrison continued work on the defenses and sowed minefields, the first being planted in the southwest, between the outer and inner perimeters. Twelve infantry tanks had been delivered among 5,000 long tons of supplies landed during the month, despite Axis bombing of the harbor and the sinking of 2 supply ships. The Axis attack was to be made in the southwest. Either side of the hillock of Ras El Medor, about 2 weeks after the previous attempt, using the 5th Light Division on the right and the 15th Panzer Division on the left. Even though it had only recently arrived in Africa. The divisions were to break into the Tobruk defenses, followed by assault groups from the RE Division and 27th Infantry Division Brescia to roll up the flanks. A thick mist rose and German tanks moved eastwards instead of southeast and then ran into the new minefield. Where they were engaged by anti-tank guns and repulsed. Tanks of the 15th Panzer Division tried to drive north but were prevented by anti-tank fire. No German reserves were left, and the most advanced troops were south of Wadi Giaida, tired and isolated in a sandstorm. Paulus judged that the attack had failed and Rommel decided to attack on the right to widen the breach. In the afternoon, German tanks attacked southeast towards Bir El Medar and Morshed sent 15 cruiser and 5 infantry tanks to counterattack. The German attack was stopped for a loss of 5 British tanks, and in the evening, the Australian 48th Battalion counterattacked Ras El Medar but met determined resistance and was repulsed. The Axis attack had overrun the perimeter defenses on a 3 miles front to a maximum depth of 2 miles and captured higher ground useful as a jumping-off position and from which observation points could be established, for a loss of 650 German and 500 Italian casualties. The 8th Bersaglieri Regiment of the 132nd Armoured Division, RAE, had captured most of the Australian positions. Paulus ordered that no more attacks be made, unless the Allies were evacuating the port. The DAK was to hold Cyrenaica regardless of who held Solung, Bardia, or Tobruk, and a new line was to be built further back at Gazala. In a report on May 12, Paulus wrote that sea communications between Italy and Libya should be reinforced, that any air and anti-aircraft units sent to Libya should be German, and that the army in Libya needed ammunition, fuel and food first, then more vehicles before the dispatch of more men, of whom medium artillery and anti-tank gun crews should have priority. The Siege of Tobruk was lifted in December 1941 in the course of Operation Crusader. Axis forces recaptured the port on June 21, 1942, after defeating the 8th Army in the Battle of Gazala. The Rats of Tobruk suffered at least 3,836 casualties, there being a small difference in Australian casualty figures quoted in the Australian and British official histories. Most of the Australian garrison withdrew from Tobruk between August and October, but others remained in Tobruk for the duration. In Australia in the War of 1939 to 1945, the Australian official history, Mon recorded 9th Australian Division casualties from April 8, October 25, including 2 days before the siege started, as 746 killed, 1,996 wounded, 604 prisoners, that 507 Australians were captured between March 28, 1941 and the investment of Tobruk, and 467 more were taken during the siege.